Hello everybody, it's Non-Scene News here, and today we've gotten a lot of breaking dates today. And the first news we'll be talking about today is coming from the Russian Federation. So if you guys remembered in the previous video, we talked about how on June the 1st, 2025, Ukraine launched a significant operation coded Operation Spiderweb, resulting in the destruction of at least maybe 12 to maybe 10 Russian strategic bombers. So if you can see these videos here in your bottom left corner, we can see frames of where these Ukrainian drones swarmed air bases around the Russian Federation, targeting key Russian bombers, including the Tu-22 M3 bombers and the Tu-95 MS, which are a vital source to Russia's nuclear deterrent. So hundreds of FPV drones were concealed in wooden crates and transported in the Russian Federation, and these drones were remotely launched from within Russian territory, from within a truck, targeting key air bases. So the operation reached strikes. So Ukrainian strikes were carried out on air bases located up to 2,600 miles from the Ukrainian border, including sites in Siberia, Moscow, and even the Arctic region. So, according to German officials, its reaction. So, German officials stated that Ukraine drone strike damaged about 10% of Russia's strategic bombers. So, the Ukrainian drone attack on June the 1st damaged about 10% of Russia's strategic bombers fleet, including aircraft preparing to strike Ukraine. Senior German military officials stated. So, according to NATO at least and Germany, they predict that Russia has obtained damage of 10% of its strategic bombers fleet. So very big news. And after the Operation Spider's Web, where Ukraine launched drones on many air bases in the Russian Federation, like these air bases in the Siberian region, destroying these Tu-22 M3 bombers. Russia is now relocating a lot of these bombers now to very isolated points of the Russian Federation, one being in this region here, in the Yesklov's district here. So this whole district here, Russia is now sending and moving a lot of its bombers to these districts here, and in this exact airfield here. So Russia is now moving at least quite a bit of Russian bombers now, very modern bombers, to these regions here. So Ukraine cannot strike these bombers. So very interesting news. And regarding the previous video, we talked about how the Russian and Ukrainian talks were concluded in Turkey. So the Russian-Ukrainian talks begun in Istanbul after a huge delay of 1 hour and 45 minutes. So let's just go over the key statements and the key news that came out of this meeting between Russia and Ukraine. So the second round of direct ceasefire talks between Russia and Ukraine was concluded after more than an hour. The Russian delegation handed over a memorandum regarding a ceasefire to the Ukrainian side. Both will exchange the bodies of 6,000 each, which we'll talk a little bit about later, while both sides have agreed to mutually release all prisoners of war who are seriously ill and or below 25 years of age. So Ukraine has offered to meet again this month, while no date for the next round of negotiations have been set. But according to the Turkish Foreign Ministry and the Russian state media, according to the talks that happened, they were not negative between the Russian and Ukrainian delegations, but according to Ukrainian officials, no real progress were made. Talks moved very slowly, and only minor steps forward were taken. But according to both sides avoided handshakes and offered no concrete peace proposals. But let's really quickly go over Russia's memorandum that was presented to Ukraine. So in the Russian memorandum on the Ukrainian settlements, two options for a ceasefire were proposed by the Russians. The first option involves the withdrawal of Ukrainian armed forces from the Luhansk, Donetsk, and the Zaporozhian and Kherson oblasts of Ukraine. So the Russian Federation is demanding that the Ukrainian forces and units should withdraw and will have to withdraw from this yellow line here and practically abandon the Donetsk, Zaporozhian, and Kherson oblasts here. So behind this yellow line. The second and comprehensive package includes bans on troops redeployments, halting mobilization, and foreign military aid to Ukraine, and starting demobilization of the Ukrainian army, and excluding third country military presence. The document speculates that Ukraine's neutrality should be included, and its refusal to join military alliance, and the protection of rights and the freedom for Russian-speaking populations, and lifting restrictions on the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and banning the glorification of Nazism. So that's according to Russia's memorandum. So a lot of things to take on there. So to summarize it a little bit, Ukraine will have to withdraw from the key regions in Ukraine. Again, that's Kherson, Zaporozhye, the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Well, Luhansk, Russia's already practically gotten a hold of all of it. Ukraine will have to have an army limit like Germany in the First World War to probably 100,000 men, or maybe even less. International recognition of the territories that Russia has managed to obtain in the war in Ukraine, and economic sanctions lifted. So very big news. And furthermore, the Ukrainian president has actually reacted to Russia's memorandum upon Ukraine. So Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, refused to accept the Russian memorandum on ending the conflict handed over at the meeting in Istanbul. So according to Zelensky, the Russian peace proposals are unfeasible. Ukraine does not take them seriously because they are an ultimatum. So, very big news. And while all this is happening, we also have gotten news yesterday that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin conducted a phone conversation, which we'll quickly go over the key details. So, the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the American President Donald Trump conducted a phone conversation yesterday. So, again, we'll go into the key details. So, Putin emphasized in the conversation between the two leaders that the negotiations between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul were successful. The Ukrainian government has essentially turned into a terrorist organization, according to Putin. The leaders did not discuss any resolving of the Ukrainian conflict. The issue of a meeting between Putin and Zelensky never stood on a practice level, according to Putin. Trump informed Putin that the United States has not been informed about plans to strike the Russian airfields. Regarding Russia's negotiations with terrorists, contacts through the appropriate channels for resolution can be made, according to Putin. The leaders have agreed to continue contacts on Ukraine at the highest level and through other channels. Trump stated that he would appreciate it if Russia worked with Iran as a party to a nuclear deal. Putin and Trump exchanged views on the prospects for restoring cooperation between the two countries, which has great potential, according to Donald Trump. The presidents characterized their exchange of views as positive and productive. This was the fourth phone conversation between Putin and Trump in the recent months, and it lasted only 1 hour and 10 minutes. And probably one of the biggest news we've got today is coming from Russia again, but coming from the Transnistrian region here in Moldova. So, according to news we've gotten, Russia wants to deploy 10,000 troops in the Moldovan breakaway region, the Prime Minister of Moldova warns. The Prime Minister of Moldova stated that Russia is seeking to deploy 10,000 troops in the unrecognized Transnistria region and establish a pro-Russian government. Moscow NATO is allegedly trying to interfere in elections and promote interests in Moldova. So, according to the Moldovan Prime Minister, Russia is planning to deploy at least 10,000 Russian troops to the Transnistrian region. And this kind of goes hand to hand with the next news we've got today, because we've got news that Wagner PMC group, which is the group that's contributed to the Russian victory in Bakhmut, I believe in 2023. Don't quote me on that. That won Russia the Battle of Bakhmut. The Wagner PMC group will be ending operations in the African country of Mali after 3.5 years. So for 3.5 years, Wagner PMC members fought shoulder to shoulder with the people of Mali against terrorism, and according to the Wagner and the Russian heads, Wagner and Russia destroyed thousands of militants and their commanders who had been terrorizing the civilian population for years. We helped local patriots create a strong and disciplined army capable of defending their land, and we accomplished the main task. All regional capitals returned under the control of the legitimate authorities of Mali. Mission accomplished. PMC Wagner returns home. So Wagner PMC has declared that they have won, with Mali bringing back all territories within Mali, according to Wagner PMC's leader, back under the Mali authorities' rule. And with this end, we've gotten some predictions that Wagner might be being redeployed to Transnistria, a part of this 10,000 troop buildup. But again, that is just rumours. But we've got news that Wagner PMC will be returning home. So I'll keep you updated on that. Maybe they get deployed back on the battlefield in Ukraine. I don't know. And furthermore, the last news we got from Russia and Ukraine today is coming from the battlefield. So, as you probably know, if you're a non-scene news listener, I don't cover the battlefield updates between Russia and Ukraine, but today is a bit different because we've got news according to the Russian army. Units of the 90th Tank Division have reached and crossed the western border of the Donetsk People's Republic, and the offensive has officially entered the Dnipro region oblast here. So, Russian forces have apparently officially now entered the outskirts of the Dnipro Oblast of Ukraine, which is this oblast here, making Russian units entering another oblast for the first time, I'm pretty sure. So, according to the news we've gotten, Russian 90th Tank Division has officially crossed a bit into the Dnipro Oblast, marking Russian troops in the Dnipro Oblast, I believe, for the first time in the war. So, very interesting and breaking news. The next news we've got today is coming from the European Union and the EU in general, because we've got news that the EU has just approved a deal between the UK's BAE Systems and Italy's Leonardo and Japan's aircraft industrial enhancement to govern the production of the next generation fighter jet. So the European nations like France, Italy, and even Japan, an Asian country, are now developing a joint 5th generation fighter jet. So as you probably know, the Eurofighter is a joint project between European nations. I believe United Kingdom, France and Germany, and maybe Italy. I'm not sure. But the European Union is going to be creating another kind of Eurofighter jet. But this one is going to be the next 5th generation fighter jet. So very interesting news. The next news we've got today is coming from the United Kingdom. So we've got news that the UK and Kazakhstan signed a military cooperation agreement in London. So Kazakhstan and the United Kingdom have signed a military cooperation agreement in London, marking a significant step in their bilateral relations. So here are some key points. So the agreement overview. So the ministers of the defense of Kazakhstan and the United Kingdom signed a military cooperation plan for 2025 to 2026 during a during an official visit by the Kazakh delegation to London. So the agreement aims to enhance collaboration in various military domains, including personnel training, joint exercises, and defense technology exchanges. So this move is very controversial in Kazakhstan and Russia, as you probably know. Russia and Kazakhstan are in an official defensive alliance in the Collective Security Treaty Organization, or CSTO, alongside Russia, and this is seen as a significant step forward towards the West. So, according to Western media, this is not me talking here, but according to the military agreement is a part of a broader effort to strengthen strategic ties between the two nations, encompassing sectors such as trade, investment, and energy and education. So, Kazakhstan's deepening military cooperation with the UK reflects its evolving foreign policy, balancing relations with both NATO members and CS2 allies. So, I'll keep you updated on that. And the next news we want today is coming from Israel. So, we've got news that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, has confirmed that Israel is arming Gaza clans that oppose to Hamas, including a faction led by Asa Abu Shabab in southern Gaza. So Israel has now supplied rifles to groups that are now refusing to cooperate with Hamas. So we've got news that Israel is now officially supplying seized Hamas guns and weaponry to clans that oppose Hamas, and I'll keep you updated on that. The next news we want today is coming from China. We finally have gotten some nice and close-up photos of the 6th generation Chinese fighter jet, the J-36. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we finally have gotten some head-on look at the new Chinese 6th generation stealth fighter jet, the J-36. So very interesting news. And furthermore, the next news we've got today is coming from the United States of America. So we've got news today that Elon Musk and Donald Trump's relationship has experienced significant tension in recent months in a public argument on social media. So on June the 5th, 2025, a huge argument sparked between Elon Musk and Donald Trump when Elon Musk criticized Trump's $4 trillion tax and spending bill, the HR1, calling it a betrayal. And then just a day later, on June 6, Musk claimed on X, formerly Twitter, that Trump is mentioned in the Epstein documents, a statement he later deleted. And just a day later, on June the 7th, 2025, Trump responded accusing Musk of mental instability. So, very interesting news. So, as a kind of a direct response of their clash, the stock market's impact, Tesla's market value dropped by $152 billion, and Trump coin loses over 100 million in value. So, both sides took a bit of a hit on their economic stocks. So, just by Elon Musk arguing with Donald Trump and having a huge clash, the stock market of Tesla dropped by $152 billion. And furthermore, the last news we've gotten from America today is coming from Los Angeles and California. So we have news that in Los Angeles, huge protests and riots have taken place, driven by federal immigration enforcement actions and a broader political tensions. So on June the 6th on June the 6th to June the 7th, 2025, protests erupted across LA following large-scale immigration and customs enforcement raids, resulting in dozens of arrests. The raids were a part of President Donald Trump's described as the largest deportation operation act in US history. So, in response to the huge riots and the huge protests that are taking place right now in LA, in response to escalating protests, President Donald Trump has ordered the deployment of 2,000 California National Guard troops to Los Angeles County. This move was met with strong opposition from California Governor Gavin Newsom, who condemned the federal action. So, lots of protests have been reported in Los Angeles due to immigration enforcement actions. So, I'll keep you updated on that. But that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am non-scene news. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.